and welcome to another song from the Witch's house. So as you can see today, I'm kind of like precariously balanced on the edge of my rocking chair in the corner of my dining room next to this painting of Old Sarum, which I wanted to get in shot. So this is a painting by the artist Turner, and he painted Old Sarum a few times in the early 1830s. I chose this painting because it's all dark and stormy and it just appealed to me. But I'll get David to show you some of his other paintings where you can see the monument more clearly. So the song you just heard then is also called Old Sarum and obviously was inspired by the place. What can I tell you about Old Sarum? I don't profess to be an historian, but if you're coming to this channel from beyond the country or even just beyond the county of Wiltshire, you may not be familiar with the history of Old Sarum or how the medieval city of Salisbury came into existence. So what can I tell you? If you went back to the time of William the Conqueror, then Salisbury, as the town that we know today, just did not exist. And most of the people from this locality then would have lived in this little community just to the north of Salisbury that we know today. And it's in a very elevated position. Apparently it used to be an Iron Age hill fort, and the Romans also had something to do with it there. There's loads of layers of history at Old Sarum. But if you come forward to the time of about William the Conqueror, there was a thriving community there. Now, today, Old Sarum is owned and managed by English Heritage. And if you want to go and visit it, you have to pay about £6 or £7 to go across the wooden drawbridge into the central part where you can see most of the foundations of the old buildings. And that'll cost you about £6 or £7 unless you are a resident of Salisbury and you live within the old city boundary, in which case, if you can prove that, you can get in for free. And that's really good to know, especially if you're a dog walker, because it's a real favourite place for dog walkers. And I think it's always been the case, because if you look at some of these paintings by Turner, you can see that right in the foreground, even back then, he had a person walking their dog. So yeah, lovely commanding views of everywhere, basically, panoramic views. You can look out towards the Clarendon estate, you can look out towards Amesbury, and obviously you can see just how much the city of Salisbury has expanded. So in a nutshell then, what happened was people lived there in the 1000s, and just beyond the central community area, there was a very large cathedral. But unfortunately, that cathedral kept being struck by lightning. And I think it was struck by lightning just within about 4 or 5 days of it being consecrated. So I think the bishop took that as a sign from God that it was an unlucky location or an unlucky place. And so they decided to move from this elevated, windswept, lightning-struck location to somewhere new. And the legend says that they fired an arrow from Old Sarum, and they had decided that wherever this arrow ended up, they would build the new cathedral and the new city around it. If you've ever been to Old Sarum and you've taken on board the distance between Old Sarum and where the new cathedral has been located, I think you'll appreciate that even the best archer in the world wouldn't be capable of firing an arrow that far. Another legend said that the arrow hit a deer and the deer limbered on for some distance before it finally expired. They're both legends, take them with a pinch of salt. But anyway, 1220, the new cathedral was built. So it's now, 800 years old. And sadly, because of the COVID restrictions, we weren't really able to fully celebrate its 800th anniversary. But that's the story of Old Sarum. And you might have come across it if you studied that period in history at school, because I think Old Sarum was an example of a rotten borough. You know, one of these constituencies, for want of a better word, that continued to return a member of parliament right up to the 15 or 1600s, even though nobody was living there. Now, apologies if you can hear background noises. My dogs always seem to show an interest when I make one of these films, and they're coming in and out as I speak. So we wrote our track about 15 years ago. And as I say, it was just inspired by the many walks I've had up there and the soothing quality of nature, because I think I've made no secret of the fact that I think Mother Nature is very, very healing and very soothing. If you've got something on your mind or you're feeling stressed, take yourself somewhere like Old Sarum, go out in nature, get the wind in your hair, hear the birds' song, smell the flowers, take in all the visual scenery. You'll soon start to feel better. So I think everybody around here loves and appreciates places like Old Sarum. We are so lucky in Wiltshire that we have got so many wonderful landscapes. So I just really wanted to pay homage to this place. It was one of the places that my grandfather took me to on those many childhood walks that I had with him. And I wanted it to be a sort of summery sounding song. So if you listen closely, there's the sound of bees, there's the sound of skylarks. I realised actually we've put a lot of bird song on our tracks. You heard a blackbird on the track Bluebell Wood. We've got skylarks on this one. We've got several birds on tracks that you haven't heard yet. I also wanted a harmonica and mouth organ because I think that gives a real summery feel. And I remember when we wrote this track all those years ago, I kept coming across mouth organs in charity shops and car boot sales, and I bought them for David, but understandably he didn't want to play a second-hand mouth organ. But he has put a harmonica on it, and I do really like the sound of it. And I kind of like to think that our tracks are, you know, you might take them with a pinch of salt, but we do work hard to really craft our tracks. We give a lot of thought to what sort of sound, what sort of atmosphere, and what sorts of other things we can put on there to, you know, to create something that's quite impactful. So yeah, I think they're a rich tapestry of second-hand instruments that I found in auctions and car boot sales, a little bit of nature, some of my absent-minded vocal doodles. You know, they're, as I say, a real mosaic of all the things that we've decided to put together. So as usual then, our tracks are available on Bandcamp, should you want to download them. But either way, please do leave us a comment. Please do like and subscribe. I have very fond memories of Old Sarum, and one that comes to mind was when I was in the sixth form at school, and a group of us, about 20 of us, some girls from the school I went to and some lads from Bishops, we decided we were going to have an all-night party at Old Sarum. I mean, you couldn't do it now. There's too much CCTV. You'd end up with a criminal record. But we just swanned on up there with our ghetto blaster, with some food and some bottles of booze, and we also made these old-fashioned fire torches out of sticks, rags and paraffin, and we went out there all night long and partied under the stars. As I recall, the police came up twice, but they only drove around the car park. They didn't realise there were revellers in the centre, but we did respect the place. We didn't leave any rubbish. We didn't damage anything. We just had our little, you know, shindig under the stars, and it was a really lovely, balmy summer night. So that's one of my favourite memories of Old Sarum, which I probably shouldn't own up to, but it was many years ago now. Anyway, this track is going out in the month of June, I believe. I often talk to you about precious stones and the different months of the year, and June is the month of sapphires. So today I'm wearing a Ceylon blue sapphire that belonged to my mother on my little finger, if you can see it, and I've also got some Padparacha sapphire that I bought myself, because sapphires come in all sorts of different colours, and I think if you're into crystal healing, they are to do with curing ailments of the eyes. Anyway, you hear all sorts of rubbish on this channel. Thank you once again for coming to our channel. Until we meet again on the next moon, whether it be a full one or a new one, some witchy magic is coming your way.